I don't think it's an appropriate question. You know, I'm not going to answer it. Could there be? Possible, for very good reason. Have to be very good reason. And I would say if we ever did that, they would be so decimated that they wouldn't be able to fight at the ground level.
Welcome back. That's President Trump yesterday on Air Force One on whether he would send ground troops to Iran, as the president appears reluctant to do so, but could not rule it out. The war in Iran has been fought largely by remote warfare, including air power such as stealth F-35s and long-range missiles and kamikaze drones, cyber warfare and intelligence meant to destroy Iran's military systems from the air rather than occupying territory. The president met with defense contractors at the White House on Friday, prodding them to pick up the pace of production, as the war is estimated to cost up to $1 billion a day, with the first 100 hours alone costing $3.7 billion because of the intensity of those missile strikes and air operations. Now, sources tell me to expect the Pentagon to request a defense supplemental package of up to $50 billion in the coming days and weeks. Joining me now in the Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, which shapes the overall spending, as well as a member of the Appropriations Committee, which decides how money is actually spent. Senator, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I want to get your take on all of this. $1 billion a day. Oil prices up 27% in a week. You've got the president wanting a $1.5 trillion defense budget in 27. The idea that the Pentagon is about to come to you for $50 billion on these strikes to Iran. How are you going to answer?
Best money ever spent. Was it worth to America to take down a religious Nazi regime who's trying to build a nuclear weapon to deliver to America? That's a really good investment. They're going to fall. It's not if the regime falls, it's a matter of when. And you didn't mention today, and nobody has, quite frankly, we now know they had enough 60% enriched uranium to make 11 bombs. What's that worth to America to make sure they don't have 11 bombs? All of this money is to make sure they never go nuclear, they can't hit us with ballistic missiles, and they stop terrorizing the region. When this regime goes down, we're going to have a new Mideast. We're going to make a ton of money. Nobody will threaten the Straits of Hormuz again. But Donald J. Trump saved the world from real chaos. Witkoff, the negotiator, was told by the Iranians openly that they have stockpiled enough 60% enriched uranium, 460 kilograms, to make 11 bombs. Thank God Trump did this. Can you imagine a year from now? What would it cost America if Iran had 11 nuclear bombs to threaten us? They would hold us hostage. We would be held hostage in perpetuity by this terrorist regime. So the money we're spending is a good investment to take down a regime that's been the largest state sponsor of terrorism, has got American blood on its hands. And when this regime falls, it's not if, when. We're going to have a gateway to peace. And the next thing that will happen is Saudi Arabia will recognize Israel, and that will be the biggest change in 2,000 years in the Mideast. And Donald J. Trump is the man to make it all happen. He's the first president in 47 years to call the question on the Iranian regime. They're religious Nazis. We negotiated with them. They would not give up their enriched uranium. They would not pledge to stop making weapons that could hit America. They still fund the proxies. When this regime falls, there'll be no money for Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. What is that worth? So the money we're spending to take this regime down is going to make us safer. It's going to keep them from having nuclear capability down the road, and we will have a new Mideast where we make money. But it ain't about money today. It's about 6 Americans who died in the defense of our country. Now, to our Arab friends, you're being hit too. Has any Arab country struck Iran? Now, if you want a treaty with the United States, you need to get in this fight. Now, America's not going to the Mideast just to fight alone. So I'm urging our Arab allies to fight back. You're being hit too. So how does this end? It ends with victory. Donald J. Trump is going to bring this regime down. It's going to be replaced by something more friendly to the United States. It's going to open up the biggest deal in 2,000 years where Saudi Arabia and Israel not only recognize each other, they will do business. Trump's a man of peace and business. Finally,
Yeah.
Venezuela and Iran have 31% of the world's oil reserves.
Yep.
We're going to have a partnership with 31% of the known reserves. This is China's nightmare.
Yeah.
This is a good investment, and we should applaud our men and women in the military who are doing something I've never seen done before, decimating a brutal enemy in 9 days.
Really great points all around, Senator. I don't know where to start. Number one, how are you going to better secure the Strait of Hormuz so that we don't see more spikes in the price of oil? Number two, are you telling us you want the United Arab Emirates and the Saudis to lash out and strike Iran right now?
I want them to get in the fight. We sell them weapons. Iran is striking their country. They have good capability. About the Strait of Hormuz, what if the regime fell? Then you never had anybody in Iran in the future that wants to close the strait. What if you had Iran with people who don't want to build a nuclear weapon to kill us all? What if you had Iran in the future that doesn't support Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis? That's where we're headed. Donald J. Trump is going to bring this terrorist regime down. We're going to have partners in Iran, and we're going to open up a gateway to peace. This won't fix itself. Every other president has talked about doing it. President Trump is in the process of doing it. They're going to lose, and we're going to win.
All
Israel
right,
and the United States, you just wait to see what comes in the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks meaning what?
We're going to blow the hell out of these people. This regime is in a death row now. It is going to be on its knees. It's going to fall. And when it falls, we're going to have peace like no other time. We're going to have prosperity unlike anyone could ever imagine. Peace brings prosperity. You can't do it by talking. The Democrats criticize this operation. They didn't do a damn thing. These men and women in the military should make us all proud.
And they have already. Number three, real quick, are you going to support the president's request for $1.5 trillion budget defense in 27? And will you respond yes to a potential supplemental defense package of $50 billion from the Pentagon?
Yes to both. We need it. We want the strongest military to end the wars quickly. Look what we're doing here. We've lost 6 soldiers. God bless them. We're devastating the enemy. I'm not looking for a fair fight. If we get in a fight, I want to win it. I want to win it quick. I'm in Miami. You see this hat? Free Cuba. Stay tuned. The liberation of Cuba is upon us. It's just a matter of time now. You see this hat? Make Iran great. President Trump said the only way to make Iran great is for the people to take over. We're marching through the world. We're cleaning out the bad guys. We're going to have relationships with new people that will make us prosperous and safe. I've never seen anybody like it. This is Ronald Reagan plus. Donald Trump is resetting the world in a way nobody could have dreamed of a year ago. He is the greatest commander-in-chief of all time. Our military is the best of all time. Iran is going down, and Cuba is next.
All right. Well, we'll be watching what's next on Cuba. For sure, got a lot of hats there. The president's got a lot of balls in the air. Senator, thank you very much. Lindsey Graham, thank you, sir, this morning from Miami.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.